Hey, what's up everybody? How's it going? How y'all doing today? Welcome back. And today we're talking about a movie called What Happened to Mr. Cha. And unfortunately, I'm a little sad to report that this is one of those movies that it kind of fell into the category of being more frustrating than anything. And it's not because the movie was bad by any stretch, but it's actually because the movie started off actually pretty well, but at a certain point it kind of lost its way and I kind of stopped caring and yeah, it happens sometimes, guys. I don't know what to tell you. Luckily, though, the movie did still have some redeemable qualities, so it wasn't all bad. It just, it could have been a little more. But anyway, the basic plot of the movie is it's about this guy named MrCha, and he's like kind of a fairly well-known celebrity. He's a little bit past his prime, but he's still recognizable. He has like a signature catchphrase, and like people recognize him out on the street and stuff like that. However, one day he's out walking his dog. He's off on like some kind of hiking trail, and then through a series of mishaps and misadventures, somehow he ends up in a building that ends up collapsing and falling on top of him. And so at that point, he's alive, but he's also trapped under the rubble. The big problem with this, though, is that MrCha is so vain, self-centered, and kind of obsessed with like his public appearances and paparazzis and stuff that he refuses to be rescued unless there are no witnesses or anybody that sees him get out. So basically, him or somebody else has to try and figure out a way to rescue him from the rubble. Meanwhile, he doesn't want police anywhere nearby. He doesn't want building expenders, nobody. And the rest of the movie is just about him trying to basically escape this collapsed building. And it's like I said, the movie actually started off extremely well. And, ironically, it had a pretty solid foundation with which to build an entire film on top of. It just didn't round off the way that I quite hoped it would. But the reason why I say the movie started off, so incredibly strongly was because it did two things very well. It kind of set up what I assumed at the time to be the comedic sensibilities that you were going to see throughout the film, and then on top of that, it really did a good job of setting up the main character. Because very early in the movie, he's filming a commercial, and you can see, just through his conversation between him and the director, you can see kind of how ridiculous the movie's going to be. Like, MrCha, he's taking the directions, from the director, because the director's just doing his job. Meanwhile, MrCha is just like, no, people want to see this, and people want to see this. And then, he turns to the side, and then you can see both of his pec muscles like flexing on and off. And then meanwhile, the director is just sitting there like, yeah, do the things. This guy has no idea what I'm talking about, does he? And just through that exchange, you could see the comedic sensibilities and the fact the director sees how douchey this character is. Like, the movie felt like it was very self-aware. And also throughout various scenes in the beginning, sure, the commercial scene made him look kind of like self-absorbed and all that other stuff, but in general, his heart really is in the right place. Because yeah, he's self-absorbed, he wants to look perfect all the time, but he also tells people like, hey, you should all go to the gym and work out, eat your chicken so you can make the gains. And when he's talking to his assistant, he's like, no, don't say sorry, just be better so you can not just help me, but also be good for yourself. So it's like, ultimately, this character is an ultimate force for good, but there's just a couple things that are a little loopy. And that's a perfect setup for a main character, because it's like you have a reason to root for him, but also there's room for the character to improve. And I thought the way they developed his character throughout the film was actually pretty well done through flashbacks and various other means. But after the building collapsed, then the movie kind of it started to get really unimportant, and it started to introduce characters and subplots. Some of them were okay, but a lot of the comedic nuances shifted in a way that was kind of detrimental because it became more stupid rather than funny. It's a little weird to say, but the comedy wasn't taken quite as seriously as maybe it should have. Because the opening commercial is about, two men that are fully formed. They're just ideologically different, whereas all the new characters were just kind of dumb and I don't know, they just felt really irrelevant sometimes. And a lot of the comedic bits throughout the movie for the rest of it just didn't feel as creative as they maybe could have. And then just at a certain point midway through the movie, all the unimportant characters and the unfunniness, it built up to the point where I'm just I'm ready for the movie to be over, and that's unfortunately not the goal of a movie. The goal of most comedies is for them to be like, hey, we're only gonna have you guys for an hour and a half to 2 hours, but while you're here, let's have some fun. And then at one point it just stopped being fun. It just happens sometimes. And I guess from a technical aspect, the movie was it was okay. It was passable. The cinematography was fine. I don't remember the music, which is usually a good sign. Like the movie was well lit. Like all that stuff was like, you know, it was passable. It was okay. But for some reason, like a bunch of the stuff, like the middle bit of the movie, it just felt like clunky and like uninteresting, really. And for example, one character's like their storyline just went completely off the rails, in my opinion. Because there's one character introduced, they set him up as kind of like a dude with like a very, very guilty conscience. And then at one point, it devolved to the point where I was watching the movie thinking, whoa, okay, that escalated in kind of a weird way, but like, okay, I guess. And I thought the movie ended in a pretty good place. It had a good, again, the movie had a good-hearted nature, but it was a little bit misguided, you know, ironically, much like the main character. But as good as I thought the ending was, everything building up to that, it just didn't, I don't know, it just didn't amount to anything that was as impactful as I would have hoped it would have been. So it's not a horrible movie, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go a little bit negative on it. So I think overall, for a score out of 10, I think I'm gonna give it like a 4.8. It started off pretty good, it started off pretty promising, but sadly, it just dropped the ball one too many times, and then, you know, it's really just an hour of filler, and movies are not supposed to be like that, but oh well. But anyway, guys, those are my thoughts. What are your guys' thoughts? Have you seen this movie? Did you like it more than I did? Hop in the comments. Let me know what's up. Other than that, if you like this video, give me a like, subscribe, share, hit the bell, do all that other usual, you know, YouTube shenanigans, and I will catch you guys next time.